welcome to the very first episode of Fantasy Tips. Yep, this season I'm going to give you amazing, wonderful, fantasy golden nuggets of information that are going to help you win the Bundy or place you in the last place bracket with the trophy of, well, thou shalt not be named. We all know what's on the line here. So, I got my coffee, and I think it's time to get to it. Fantasy tip number 1. Don't be afraid to drop a player. I know, you just drafted them. Y'all have this connection, this undying love for each other. It's a lie. You can drop anybody and trade anybody. Fantasy season's ruthless, and you should be with your roster too. If you drafted somebody and they have a terrible matchup, and they're not even that great, and they're a late round pick, and there's somebody in waivers that are better, do it. I'm going to do it. I already had to put a waiver move in. I haven't checked it yet, but I hope I got Danny Amendola for week 1. Because, let's face it, Alshon Jeffrey is out for the first 2 weeks of the season. Stinks. But he avoided the pup, so can't really be too angry. I kind of gambled when I drafted him. But he'll be okay. Just make moves, man. Don't be afraid to go ahead and drop a guy and pick somebody else up. Your roster's not set in stone, especially even before week 1. You can make moves. Don't be afraid to do so. Fantasy tip number 2. Don't be afraid to trade, even though the season hasn't officially started yet. You just drafted the players. You're all attached to them. But let's face it, some of y'all got way too many running backs. Some of y'all got too many wide receivers. Some got a few too many quarterbacks. Day-Day, you got Cam Newton. Flip him. Trust me. You'll just start Aaron Rodgers every day anyways, except for the 1 week he's on bye. You might as well go ahead and flip him and get something for him. So, yeah, go ahead, trade a player. You might have something that matches up well with you. You might have somebody else's backup, and they have your backup. Matt, who I've offered you my 9th round pick for your 13th round pick to give you the better backfield, but you don't want to do it, which is fine. It's cool. You're wrong. I hate you. No, I'm joking. It's cool. It's your team. You're allowed to keep and do what you want with it. Yeah. So go ahead. Look at trades. Look at other rosters. There might be some that matches up. You don't have to win the trade. Nobody has to be declared the winner of the trade. I think we get wrapped up a little bit in that too much. All you have to do is just look at somebody else's roster and just see if you all match up. And if you don't, that's fine. Don't force it. Fantasy tip number 3. Don't be afraid to bench a stud even in week 1. Now, you got the guy in your first 5 rounds. He's your man. He's your guy. But he's got a horrible matchup week 1. And let's face it, it's all about the matchups. Drafting is just building the core of your team and building on as the season goes on. So, look at your matchups. Make sure you're okay. If you have a quarterback going against a great defense that's terrific against the pass, and your quarterback has a horrible history with them, and their roster hasn't had that much turnover, well, you probably want to bench that quarterback. Look in the waiver wire. I'm sure you'll find a quarterback with a very favorable matchup that you can slip on in there and get them extra juicy points that you need to beat your opponent that week. Same thing goes for tight ends, running backs, and wide receivers. Now, I'm not saying bench every stud. There are certain studs you never bench. Aaron Rodgers, Julio Jones, Odell Beckham, Mark Ingram in 6 weeks. But, yeah, Todd Gurley. Like, you'll never bench those guys no matter what. But your running back 2, your wide receiver 2, those other studs that you got, they're usually pretty darn good. Yeah, go ahead and take a look at those. And fantasy tip number 4. If you're playing me, you might as well bench your players. Because they're going to get a butt whooping. I'm telling you, I'm going undefeated this year. You're all going to lose. I'm going to get the championship. Second one in 4 years. It's been a while. Never forget, 2014. Yeah, we're going to do this show, Fantasy Tips, once a week, maybe once every few weeks. Something to mix up from the podcast. Try to make the season a little bit more enjoyable and fun. As I crush you like a grape, as Matthew Berry would say. He is the prettiest girl at the bar. So yeah, everything's going well. The podcast is still on time, and I think we're gonna go ahead and do one tonight. Do a post draft. Do some draft grades for y'all, and yeah, got to go down and see Stu's little Pod Central there in Conway, and his man cave. I'm sorry, man mansion. Your workshop is huge, so you, sir, have a man mansion. Don't you forget it. So yeah, also shout out Matt. Thank you for bringing Hertz Donuts for everyone for breakfast. Yeah, there was one maple bacon bar left over. I took it with me and I ate it yesterday for breakfast, and it was amazing. So even a few days old, just warmed up a little bit and it was good to go. So I thank you, but my cholesterol levels do not.